another version of Triple H. This is the Evolution version of Triple H. This is the group that he formed back in 2003 that lasted till 2005. The group was himself as the leader, Ric Flair, David Batista, and Randy Orton. Now, they started in February 2003. It was during the time of the Scott Steiner feud with Triple H, which they had two matches at the Royal Rumble and No Way Out. Evolution was about past, present, and future. The past of Ric Flair, a 16-time world champion. The present, Triple H, a current world heavyweight champion. And future world champions in Dave Batista and Randy Orton. But this group wasn't just to elevate Triple H's people, Randy Orton and Dave Batista. It was also to protect Triple H in all his feuds and all his matches, to make sure that he kept the World Heavyweight Championship around his waist at any means. Doesn't matter what it takes, any means necessary. So, during this time in Evolution, he had two matches with Scott Steiner, as mentioned, which he kept the World Heavyweight Championship at that time. Now, during the beginning of Evolution, I know Dave Batista and Randy Orton, they had a couple injuries, so they wasn't really there all the time in the beginning. I know Batista was out for a while. Randy Orton, he did come back first, and then Batista came back later after they debuted. But nonetheless, they were still a unit regardless. Now, I know he defended this championship against not only Scott Steiner, it was against Booker T, Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, Goldberg, Chris Benoit, Kane. He did lose the World Heavyweight Championship, which we'll get into in a second, but he kept it most of 2003. Now, the first time he did lose the championship, he lost it against Goldberg, and it was at Unforgiven. Now, at Unforgiven, he lost the championship when it was Triple H's championship against Goldberg's career. Goldberg won the championship, and Triple H did whatever he could to get the championship back. So, however, he did regain the championship at Armageddon's pay-per-view. Now, at the peak of Evolution, not only did he regain the World Heavyweight Championship, but Dave Batista and Ric Flair won the World Tag Team Championships from the Dudley Boys. Also, Randy Orton won the Intercontinental Championship from RVD. That was the peak of Evolution. They considered themselves on top and could not be stopped once they held all the championships on Raw at that particular time. It was not one male championship that no one else could hold because they held all the gold. And that's when Evolution was Evolution. However, Dave Batista and Ric Flair lost the tag team championships. Randy Orton lost the Intercontinental Championship to Edge. And Triple H, he kept on to World Heavyweight Championship until he lost it for a second time at WrestleMania 20 in a triple threat match against Shawn Michaels and Chris Benoit, in which he was tapped out by Chris Benoit. Now, that's when I start to see a little bit of trouble with Evolution. Triple H really, it wasn't the same after he lost that championship. He tried to regain it from Chris Benoit several times, but he failed. He even tried to use a character named Eugene that he could use his advantage to get the championship back, but that didn't work either. Now, David Batista and Ric Flair did regain the tag team championships, but they didn't hold it on as long as they did the first time. They lost the championships again. Now, at this point, this is mid-2004. Now, since he couldn't regain championship for Chris Benoit, Randy Orton won a battle royal and he was able to get a championship opportunity against Chris Benoit at the SummerSlam 2004 pay-per-view. In a shock win, he beat Chris Benoit, won the World Heavyweight Championship clean in the middle of the ring. No cheating, no interference from Evolution, no count-offs or anything. He beat Chris Benoit in the middle of the ring. When he did defeat Chris Benoit, he defeated him again on the next night on Raw. This time it was help from Evolution. Now it was a celebration to celebrate that another member besides Triple H had won the World Heavyweight Championship. But it ended up being a setup. They turned on Randy Orton in a mock celebration. They beat him down to a bloody pulp. And Triple H did whatever he could to make sure that belt was off of Randy Orton and back on him. In the midst of doing that, he kicked him out the group. Now, Randy Orton at this point is a face character, while Evolution still are heel characters. Now, the next pay-per-view, which was Unforgiven, Triple H did defeat Randy Orton with the help of Evolution and Jonathan Coachman as a crooked referee in the middle of the match. So he regained the World Heavyweight Championship and ended Randy Orton's 28-day reign as champion, which is very short. Now, since Randy Orton was kicked out, he regained the championship. Randy Orton went on to be a face character, like I said, and he was a singles competitor. But Evolution was still together. Now, they were still doing matches and making sure that Triple H kept the championship on his shoulders. But in a match against Edge and Chris Benoit, there was controversy when the championship ended in a draw. This is when Triple H was outside. It was interference by Randy Orton. And Edge and Chris Benoit, they tapped out and was pinned at the same time, since there was no decisive winner in that match. Vince McMahon decided that there was going to be no champion. So in the midst of that, Triple H lost the championship. He was no longer champion. Triple H was in a rage over this. He couldn't believe that he lost the championship, even though he was not pinned or submitted. But at the same time, the other two competitors were pinned and submitted at the same time simultaneously. So Eric Bischoff had to decide what was he going to do for final winner. What he did was, at the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view in 2005, in January 2005, he set up a 6-man elimination chamber match, which was Triple H, Edge, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, Batista, and Randy Orton. And the special guest referee was Shawn Michaels. Now, at this pay-per-view, Triple H won the World Heavyweight Championship again. This time, he was a 10-time world champion. He had help from Batista, and he last eliminated Randy Orton to win the World Heavyweight Championship again. Now, at this time, this is in January, also around that time, it's the Royal Rumble. And at the Royal Rumble, Triple H defended the championship against Randy Orton at pay-per-view, since Randy Orton felt he deserved another shot, even though he was screwed. He did defeat Randy Orton and retain the championship. But at the same event, Batista competed in the Royal Rumble match. In the same Royal Rumble match, Triple H did not want him to enter. He wanted him to focus on making sure Triple H retained the championship at all costs. But Batista entered it anyway. Not only did he enter the Royal Rumble, he won the Royal Rumble. So, since he won the Royal Rumble, he had an opportunity to compete for a world championship. He could compete for Triple H's championship. And that's when it really started getting hot in Evolution. Triple H saw Batista as a threat to his world title. So he did whatever he could to make sure he didn't have to face Batista. Even if it meant make Batista go over to SmackDown and compete for the WWE Championship against their champion at the time, JBL, instead of him. And Batista did not want to compete against JBL. He was going to stay on Raw. So Triple H, he set up a ploy. What he did was he made it seem like JBL was going to run down Batista in his limousine. Turns out it was not Batista. Triple H set the whole thing up. And while he was talking to Flair about it backstage, and how Batista should leave and compete for the championship, Batista overheard the whole conversation before the whole decision of should Batista go to Raw and compete for that championship, or should he move over to SmackDown. So, since Batista knew the whole plan, he knew his whole setup, Batista made his own decision, as he said. And he decided to powerbomb Triple H through the table and also assault Ric Flair. And he said he's going to stay on Raw and compete for the World Heavyweight Championship against Triple H. So with this solidified that Batista became a face character, he was out of Evolution, but he left on his own terms. So now Evolution is only 2 members at this point, Ric Flair and Triple H. Batista competed against Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 21 of that year 2005. He defeated Triple H at WrestleMania and became a World Heavyweight Champion, his first World Championship ever in his career. After he defeated Triple H, they had 2 more matches afterwards. He had a rematch at Backlash. Batista won that match as well, and he even had another match, which was at Hell in a Cell at Vegas of that year in June. So he defeated Triple H in both of those matches. Since he defeated Triple H in both those matches, pretty much ended their feud. Now, at the end of the feud, Triple H took time off afterwards. I think he had injuries. He had to nurse his injuries. He wanted to cool down. However, Batista did not stay on Raw for long. In the draft, Batista ended up going to SmackDown, while the WWE Champion, the new WWE Champion at the time, John Cena, came to Raw. So Batista was on a whole new show. He wasn't even on Raw anymore. Now, after a few several months, Ric Flair was the only sole member of Evolution around. At this point, he was a tweener, more of a face character. During this time, he was in a feud with Carlito. He won the Intercontinental Championship in that feud. And I believe to this day, he's the oldest Intercontinental Champion in history. He won the championship at 56 years old. But he was also embarrassed before he won the championship. Carlito spit an apple in his face, disrespected Flair. But he still won the championship from Carlito. Even though for someone like Flair, 16-time world champion, that's a mid-card title, not a world title. And some would say that may have seemed like a step down from what Ric Flair usually is. Now, Triple H did return from injury. He came back at the October 3rd, 2005 homecoming edition of Raw, meaning Raw had moved from the TNN network back to the USA network in a contract deal. So in that match, he had a tag team match, Triple H and Ric Flair versus Carlito and Chris Masters. Triple H won the match for him and Ric Flair when he pedigreed Carlito with the help of Ric Flair when Chris Masters was trying to attack Triple H while he was going to use the pedigree. Now in that match, since they won, Triple H hugged Ric Flair, celebrated, hugged again, looked at the crowd, put the arms up. And Triple H saw Ric Flair go to the other side of the ring. He pointed towards him and he attacked him with the sledgehammer. Good old Triple H always turn on his people. So he attacked Ric Flair, beat him to a bloody pulp. Beat him over and over again until he hardly could ever stand anymore. Attacked him with a sledgehammer multiple times. He did it not once but twice with the sledgehammer and just beat him like crazy. He beat him inside the ring. He beat him outside the ring. He even beat him in backstage arena. And then he beat him so bad he sent him in a limo, kept him packing. Triple H obviously was unhappy with what Ric Flair was doing while he was at home taking time off. He thought that being disrespected by Carlito would spit an apple in his face and win a mid-card title was a step downward of who Ric Flair should be and should have been. So with that being said, that marked the end of Evolution. There was no more Evolution at this point. Triple H and Ric Flair had a couple matches. Ric Flair won the first match. Triple H won the second match. And after that point, Evolution is over. And this was near the end of 2005. And that is the story of Evolution, guys. Now, I will have more videos of another version of Triple H. But until then, guys, it's OUT, and we out.